Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the OutMarket.Pro podcast. I'm your host, Mark Stein. In this episode, I'm excited to do a deep dive into all things photography with Allie Serrano. Allie is the owner of Allie Serrano Portraits, and she'll correct me if I butchered her last name, a portrait photography studio in the Tampa Bay area, also covering Sarasota, Florida. Through her portraits, she helps others find empowerment and view themselves in a more positive light. So welcome to the OutMarket.Pro podcast, Allie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Good. I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you do. Let's talk about what led you into photography, how long you've had that passion, and just a little bit about your background.
So I have been in the industry ever since I remember as a kid. I used to draw with pencil. My parents were always saw the importance in putting me and my sister in all these different extracurricular activities that would expand our knowledge in the arts and in the music and all of that. So that's as far as I can remember. But as far as my business goes, I started a photography hobby in 2010, 2011-ish. And it took me a moment to actually turn it into a business. It was a hobby for a good amount of years. So it's been about over 10 years, 12 years more.
Good. So we've spoken before, so I am aware of the basics. But what I was really impressed with as I was getting to know you is the passion that you have for this, and especially for empowering women. Um, so talk a little bit about this passion, and it sounds like it goes pretty deep.
Definitely. It's something that I have noticed as a business owner when you start talking to people. A lot of people and women especially are known for, no, not me, just the kids, not me, just the family. Point the camera in the opposite direction, please. And I don't know where it came from, but it's definitely something that we need to learn to overcome. We need to learn to be comfortable with ourselves, to be confident in who we are. And it actually goes for me very deep. When I was a kid, um, I got bullied for having red hair. And it was a class that they pre-selected to be the school choir. So you can see there are many girls that were, the top of the line in presentation of the school, but they could be, girls can be mean, kids can be mean sometimes. So I got laughed at often, and as a kid, I was growing up with a light dyslexia, so I would often switch words and turn things around and said the wrong thing, and it was a cause for quite the stir sometimes. And so I learned to overcome that, and I learned to use what I thought were my biggest flaws into my biggest benefits, my biggest cause for being unique and being different. And I learned to celebrate that, and I look for that in others too.
Hmm. I think everybody to some extent feels that way, but I do think that women, maybe because they are objectified from early childhood sometimes, then I think they're a little more self-conscious of body image and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But nobody nobody likes their photograph or how they perceive that they look. Um, and I think it's similar for our recorded voice.
Yep.
Um, Now that's a little different. Well, maybe not, because you're seeing yourself, you're hearing yourself from a different perspective when you hear
Mhm.
it coming at you as opposed to coming from you. And
Yeah.
I guess it's the same thing with photography, because you're you're not used to looking at yourself that way, except in the mirror in the morning. And I don't know that we pay attention to what we look like then.
We don't really, and we often don't look at ourselves in a mirror. A lot of people tell me that it's been a long time since they've seen themselves, truly seen themselves. And that's kind of surprising. Because if I'm not in love with who I am, how am I supposed to attract the best relationship, the right relationship, the right job, the right career, the right life path, if I am avoiding myself?
Hmm. Well, I think without getting too deeply into this, I think males are judged more about their work, their accomplishments, that sort of thing. So they
Yeah,
probably rely a little less on appearance. There are some exceptions where you can tell people are really
there's
into it. Um,
there's an
but
exception
women,
on both fronts, but yeah, women are more objectified in terms of, and have been for many, many years. This is not just recent. Um,
mhm,
and so it's the thing that we have to, we should overcome. Not have to, you don't
mhm.
have to do anything, but we should overcome.
Yeah, and women, even those that have the most beautiful features, rarely do you find one that's a beautiful woman who's satisfied with her looks and appreciates her appearance. Do you find that to be
I
true?
do I do find that to be true. Some of those are the hardest to please in terms of photography. Um, yeah, and it comes with the most pressure, I would say, that they're under to remain that way. You can look at a lot of celebrities, a lot of actresses that started out being young and pretty and popular, and then as they age, they become more beautiful, but we don't see them that way. They don't see themselves that way. Some do. Meryl
Hmm.
Streep is an exception to the rule.
Hmm.
But it's we it's something that it's not just about seeing ourselves and loving how we look, but loving who we are on the inside and having that confidence and carry ourselves with all of the flaws, because that's what makes you separate, that's what makes you unique, that's what makes you special.
Hmm. And maybe the most beautiful women have been the most objectified and the most focused on. I haven't heard this, but I could see them going, it's this mole right here that's about a centimeter in diameter. If I
Yep.
just didn't have that, then I would be beautiful. But anyway,
So that
so
phrase right there, if I just didn't have that, then I would be beautiful. Whatever that is, that covers this entire segment.
um, yeah, if I only could get rid of 1.5 pounds, then I would
Mm.
be beautiful.
Oh,
Anyway,
10, 20, 30, yeah. And that's one thing I often, and I focus on women that are 40, 50, 60, 70. And that's one thing that I often hear. It's like, oh, 10 pounds and 10 years younger, please.
yeah. So I also remember from our earlier conversation that you really work to bring out the best in people, to make them feel comfortable.
Mhm.
So talk about that part of your work, whether it be business, personal, uh,
Yep. So
whatever.
COVID has changed a lot of that in my industry. Before COVID, it would be the portraits were often seen with their arms crossed and with a very serious expression, very middle of the road backdrop, usually a mid gray or mid blue. And it was very commercial. Headshots and business portraits, especially, or any portraits, were very serious, no expression. And then all of a sudden, when as an as a nation, as a globe, we were faced with not be able to talk to other people. All of a sudden, we really hunger for this expression of emotion, and
Hmm.
that has changed how portraits are captured now. 90% of my clients tell me, I want to be approachable, I want to be happy, I want to be somebody that people want to see, to do business with, or to relate to, or to connect to. And that has changed. I love seeing people smile. And if you see a portrait of you with the wrong expression that doesn't match who you are, then it's not the right portrait. And so my goal is always to uh, first connect with who you are. And that usually is a conversation that I have with, tell me about how you do business. Tell me how you come across. Tell me how you want to come across. What expressions, what emotions, what kind of a posture? How do you dress? How do you meet clients? And questions like that allows me to get to know you a little bit better, because point of the portrait is for people to look at that and recognize you. And if they don't recognize you, then I haven't done my job right, because you're gonna try to do it again somewhere else. And my job is to love who you are in a portrait so that you can share it. Because what if this is your last one? What if this is the last portrait that you'll ever take professionally? What if this is the portrait that they use to talk about you when you're not here? I want it to be the best one that there is.
Right. That's cool. Um, let's talk about the smile for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I I have just been looking at some videos um, of someone, and they have this
Yeah.
toothy, toothy
Mm-hmm.
fake smile. And I think some people don't know how to smile in a
Uh-huh.
natural way. Do you find
Mm-hmm.
that?
Oh, so true, so true. Most people don't know how to smile on command. There are some that have gotten good at creating a natural smile reaction, but most people don't know how to. And so it leads me to employ some often comical techniques to actually create a natural reaction that I then photograph. Um, I've been asked by my clients after the photo shoot if I have done some things on purpose to make them laugh or if that actually happened. Most of the things that I do just happen naturally. And they just naturally are comical, but I do have some techniques that I use in my portrait studio.
Hmm. Well, we'll let you keep those as trade secrets then. I won't probe that anymore. So, pardon me, I need to get a cough lozenge here when you're answering my next question. Um, so let's just talk about the three major types of portraits and dig into those. So there's business portraits, there
Mm-hmm,
are family portraits,
mm-hmm.
and then, and this one, when I first heard about it, it just blew me away that it was a thing. And I think you refer to these, and maybe in the industry it's referred to as boudoir
Uh-huh.
photographs.
That is
So
correct.
let's dig into each one of them: business, family, boudoir.
All right. We'll start with the business. So often you hear the word headshot. No, it doesn't mean me shooting somebody's head. It's actually it's actually a term used to capture a portrait of somebody's head, an expression, a close-up of what they look like. Um, Today is expanded into a branding photo shoot, not necessarily just a close-up. I will often take you on location based on where you do business or in my studio in the backdrops and in the colors that relate to your business and your brand. And it could be a half a body portrait. It could be even you sitting. It could be a full body portrait. And it's meant to give you images to help market your brand. If you have any kind of marketing needs as it relates to print advertising, magazine advertising, billboards, cards, mail-in advertising, social media advertising, any kind of marketing where you need images to market your business, that's where I can help you really get the best traction for the images, because I will capture a portrait that is separate from all of your competition out there. And I will actually dive into that with you before the photo shoot to make sure that I get you something that you haven't gotten before, that nobody has seen. That's magazine quality. So that's what the business portraits are all about. I do have the family portraits that are
Hold on, let me interrupt
all
with
right.
another question. What about product photography, or if maybe not just products themselves, um, but having a prop? If you're a bartender, beer joint owner, you want a glass
Mm-hmm,
of beer next to you. So,
mm-hmm.
do you encourage people to use props? And do you do only product photography, just products?
Great question. I do utilize the props if it makes sense for the business owner. If you're a real estate attorney or real estate agent, we will put you in front of your prop. That's the house that you're selling. But if you're selling candles, if you're selling creams, facial creams, clothing, anything that makes sense for you to use during a photo shoot, especially if it's an in-studio photo shoot, absolutely. I encourage you to bring your props so that I can have you hold it, and I will capture some by itself as well. Part two of your question, if you just want an updated photos of your products or your props for your website, for example, I do that as well. I am not a prop or product only photographer, so I don't necessarily advertise myself as that. There are some that are absolutely amazing at the craft, but I will photograph your products for your website to help them stand out, because that is part of growing your business. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now move into families and talk about some of this. Let's also add some fun stories. I bet that you have them, especially for families. So talk about the setup, how you do it, how you bring the family, make them at ease. Talk about that.
So families are fun because I usually include pets into my family portraits. To me, I have 4 cats. My fiance and I each have 2, so we have a 4-catted family. So I include pets in my family. So those make the family photo shoot very interesting. And it could be in studio, depending on the time of year, or it could be in your home or in a park or on a location that makes sense for your family. That's always something that I customize based on the family that I'm working with. The trick with the family photo shoot is it tends to be very fast, because when the kiddos are young, they tend to, same with the animals, same with our cats and dogs, it tend to only be 3-second time span for each. Kids and animals don't have a lot of patience to be photographed. So I tend to do a lot of quick shots, and usually the mom and dad are instructed to keep their composure no matter what the kiddos are doing. Ignore your kiddos. Don't worry that they're not smiling. Just keep your composure. And then what I can do later is find the best expression for each kiddo if they're facing the right way, and I can head swap and I can give you a perfect portrait. So that's usually how it works with the families, and they're so much fun. Um, Usually the time in their life when the kids are leaving their home, when they're graduating their high school, graduating their college, I do graduation portraits as well. And that's usually a good time to do a family portrait. I usually include that in my photo shoots. Like, hey, do you want your mom and dad to be photographed with you? This would be a great time for you to have a last family portrait before you leave home, because then it becomes really difficult to get your kids back into your home for everybody to be together. So that's usually something I recommend and I highly encourage as well.
Mhm. What's a fun family portrait story that is top of mind?
Um, Most recently, I would say a family portrait of a newborn, a mom and dad. The baby sister was, I think, 2 or 3, and a newborn. And the baby sister was so adorable, holding her sister, being so patient. We did a theme in studio that was a fall theme with pumpkins and orange colors, and it was so adorable to see the mom and the dad holding their child. And this baby sister was just absolutely, she's going to be such a perfect sister one day. So families like that are absolutely a treasure to work with.
Nice. Have you had people who knew that they were passing get a photo shoot together, a family photo shoot together?
Not necessarily when they knew that they were passing. I have had a photo shoot for a child. It was a boy with his brother, and the grandma joined in on the photo shoot. She's the one that got that portrait captured. He was going through a cancer treatment. So at the time, and this was a couple of 6 months ago, up to a year ago. So I don't know. I haven't heard if he gone through the treatment successfully. I'm hoping that he did. But so I do have sometimes commissions like that, to where we don't know if what the solution is going to be, but we want to have a nice portrait. But I do often get requests for after they pass. And I have done several portraits into a painting, into a photographic oil painting that's then from an image that they captured in the past that I turn into a piece of art that you can hang on your wall. So I do actually do more of those than I do beforehand.
Okay. Okay. Let's move into boudoir photography. That's really the most intriguing of your types for me, mainly because, I mean, I've seen pictures, but I just didn't, it wasn't in my awareness, you know? So talk
Hmm.
about it. And what
It's a
motivates
new,
people to do it? And how do you treat them differently than you would families and business portraits?
good question. Boudoir is a newer genre. I would say it has developed from the old 80s glamour portraits. Boudoir is a newer, more modern version of that, I would say. Although I get still photograph a glamour portrait that's modern, that's different from a boudoir. So they're both separate styles. But what boudoir is basically capturing you with a little bit less clothes on. So you can be in your bathing suit, you can be in your lingerie, you can be in a cute dress. And it's more focused on you and how you see yourself and your connection and your love with yourself as a whole, not just your face. For a business portrait, it's more about your expression. For a boudoir, it's your love in with your body as a whole and as a unit. The portraits are very intimate, and that actually requires more time for you to be comfortable with me as the one that gets to see you more exposed. It's a little bit more intimidating to get into, and usually those are the photo shoots that's scheduled the furthest out for me. A headshot can be scheduled in a matter of a couple of weeks. Usually a boudoir photo shoot is anywhere from month up to 6 months ahead, just because the ladies really want the time to get themselves prepared mentally, physically, to be ready. And the photo shoot itself is longer. I will have you come in, get your hair, makeup done, have some pampering going on so that you can actually relax in the space where you're going to be photographing you. Bring your clothes with you, and we actually styled you based on the conversation we've had before the photo shoot, the day off with everything you bring, decide the outfits, decide the sets. And so it's a really, really fun photo shoot. A lot of my clients walk away from that the most transformed because they don't know what to expect. And they actually walk away with the feeling of, wow, that was so much fun. I want to do this again. Very surprisingly so, most of them have said. So it's a more of a transformational photo shoot than just a typical headshot. It's something I would recommend for actually women and couples go through together. A lot of times my ladies' partners don't necessarily get photographed every step of the way, but they are on the sidelines watching. And if they are part of the experience, at least on the sideline, I will often bring them into a portrait every now and then as a, hey, hold your lady from the back, or let's do a embrace, let's do a hug. And it helps if you're there so that she can look at your expression and she can really give me that love, that calming, happy expression that will sell the portrait, that will make it what it is. It's hard to duplicate that expression and the emotion. If like it's, hey, picture that I'm your boyfriend or picture that I'm your husband. It's much harder to do that than being actually in the room. So I do
Right.
often encourage couples to do this together as well, because it's a great, great experience.
And I would think it's even more important that the husband look at his partner as
Hmm.
sexy and
Yep.
beautiful. If you don't have that going on, it's probably not good that he's going to be there, but probably she wouldn't want him to be there
In
if
that case, she wouldn't. Yeah, we do have that conversation ahead of time. Like, hey, do you want, would this help if he was here with you? And of course, if you're seeing your lady in sexy lingerie, which she most often doesn't wear often, then of course it's going to create the sparkling energy already. So utilizing that and capturing some great emotion is absolutely amazing.
uh, and have you ever had to stop the photo shoot because of them interrupting it with him being so attracted, if you will?
There was a couple that I photographed. They have several wall portraits in their bedroom from the photo shoot. This is a couple that gets remarried, or how should I say, they re say their vows every 2 years, and every 2 years they go on a new honeymoon, and their energy is so sparkling. Even today, they've been together for many, many years, and their energy is so sparkling that I've often during their photo shoot felt like I'm just watching, like the people that just watch and actually don't get to direct anything, because they did all the directing. They were absolutely amazing. But I did
Uh,
have to switch sets and switch posts and switch postures and just to kind of keep the photo shoot flowing. Otherwise, we wouldn't go far.
I can see them asking you to step out for a little bit,
Yeah,
even if you're on the
yeah.
clock.
It's like, hey, can you give us a moment here? Yeah,
Just don't mess up that makeup. Um,
just don't mess up the makeup. You're absolutely right.
right. Um, let's see. Okay, here's the one of the things that's a little bit confusing for me is given that most women are have body image issues, you're asking them to get beyond where most of them get. I guess that's part of the delay between scheduling and the shoot.
Yep.
And that's also why I bet it's part of the reason why people set the marriage date for 6 months to a year later because they've got to fit in that dress, you know. So
It's
um,
wedding is a whole separate reason why people schedule their weddings couple of years out sometimes. Um, but for a boudoir photo shoot, it's usually I need to lose some weight. I need time to be comfortable with myself. I need time to prepare for this. And it's also a budgetary concern because if you're gonna go do a boudoir photo shoot, you're not looking at spending a couple of hundred, three, four, $500,000. You're looking at spending a little bit more because you're gonna get a wall art for your bedroom. You're gonna get a book, an album with your images. So it's something that you're gonna treasure for the rest of your life. And it's usually also a higher price package that it's involved in that. So that is also part of the reason why they schedule out as well.
mhm. um, so that they could get a second mortgage on their house to be able to
Uh,
pay for it.
Not that
Um,
much, but yeah.
um, so how do you, I would imagine you're doing a lot of coaching with, let's just talk about women because I bet it's what, 90% women, 10% men that are
Usually,
getting this
yeah.
done.
Men hate to be photographed. It's not that they don't get to, it's that they are not volunteering to be photographed. So I do
Right.
photograph both men and women, but women are usually the ones that are more into that experience. Men usually get forced by their job to update their headshot, and they usually come to me, okay, take 10 minutes and be done. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time here.
Yeah. So what extra preparation, emotional, mental preparation do you do with women? Let's just say they're there, not you talking them into doing it or
Mhm.
talking about doing it, but they're there. What what are the what are some of the things that you do to get them to be comfortable, get them in the mood to do this? It takes a lot
So
of preparation, I would think.
it does take preparation, even starting with the right music that will get you into the right mood. I often ask, hey, what kind of music would relax you? What do you want to hear? And to maybe a lot of my lady clients starve themselves before the photo shoot because they want to look skinny, right? And so I have some snacks, maybe some fruit tray with cheese or crackers or something that they can snack on so that they don't get hangry. That also won't help. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe having some breathing exercises even right before we get started to where it's like, okay, breathe, let it, you know, let that breath go out, really rest into relaxing posture, and even some posing workflow to begin the actual photo shoot. Usually the first couple of frames are more for that, not necessarily for the posture for the right shot. It's more about you getting relaxed into the photo shoot. So there's many techniques that I implement. Some clients are different from others. So during the actual workflow, I've had clients that we put on some fun dancing music and we danced during a photo shoot. And it literally was, okay, dance, dance into the music and really get caught up into the emotion of dancing at the music. And then I'll stop you, correct the pose just a little bit, get the right expression, and then we keep dancing. So there are conversations that I've had with clients where we just sat, me behind the camera, her in the front, and we have a conversation. So there are many different techniques that I've mentioned earlier that kind of contribute to the relaxing energy. And I know this one, most photographers don't like to do, but it is important for me to be relaxed going in. So if you're having the worst day ever, you wrecked your car on the way to the photo shoot, you're injured, your mom is in a hospital, whatever if you're having that kind of day, please reschedule. I'd rather you come back when you're in a good and relaxed mood, because those portraits are going to show how you feel. And if you're not feeling it, if you're really feeling stressed, it's going to show. So I often reschedule photo shoots for that reason, even if it's something that other photographers would not do, because it is important for the right exposure, for the right expression, for the right feeling in the photo shoot, for that to be right.
Hmm. Do you do incense or candles to
Mhm.
with their favorite scent and that sort of thing?
I don't necessarily ask for what their favorite scent is, but I will put on an incense, or I have the oils that you mix together and you have that puffy from doTERRA. So I do have that, and I often find the scent that is very relaxing, that is very calming. And so I do have that as well. Yes.
I would think you'd have to be a really good judge of emotional state, because if somebody's very left brain and rational, you would need to deal with them in a different way than somebody who's more emotional. Uh, I
Very much so. No, you're absolutely right on. You have to be a really good reader of character. And they often will give you clues, even during the consultation. Um, Even as early as the first thing that they start talking about. If they start talking about their business, their numbers, you know, their schedule of the day, even, those kind of things, then I know they're more on the analytical side. They're more on the number side. They're less in touch with their emotions, perhaps. They're less comfortable. They usually are more on the let's get it done. Now, if they start talking about their family, their children, their hobbies, their interests, if we're having a chat before we even get into the business of the conversation, then I know it's going to be on the other side of that spectrum. We're going to be more relaxing, taking our time with the photo shoot. I often schedule extra time for that, so that if it ends up taking a little bit longer, there's no rush, because there's no reason to be. So I do
Mhm.
often have to judge the character right.
It probably would be beneficial to be a licensed therapist and photographer, so
Yeah.
you
So
you
funny
really
enough,
could read it.
my AA in my bachelor degree, my AA degree is actually from psychology. That's something that I considered having as my bachelor degree. I switched majors midterm. But I'm an empath, so I can feel emotions, so that helps me with my job as well. And having the continued um education on the connection side. There are different profiles, different tests that I have mastered in understanding, and be able to understand how people are ahead of time. So there's many techniques that I have in my field. It's always a continued education, like it is in yours as well.
So tell us some unusual stories about the setting that somebody chose, or um, I don't know. I'm sure you've got lots of stories of unusual situations. Um, any top of mind?
Not necessarily a setting. Florida, maybe I'll start with that. Originally, when I started my business, I wanted it to be very in studio, very fine art feeling. Florida is not for that. Many years ago, when I first started to develop my brand, I realized people come to Florida for two things, actually three things: sunshine, blue sky, and the palm trees. And usually they want two, if not all three, to be in the photo. So that makes it slightly different from the kind of studio I imagined I would want. But it allows me to see amazing parts of the Tampa Bay. I love to travel. So if you take me to a part of the town that I've never been to, that's absolutely stunning, then I get to capture a magazine style portrait of you. Now, as far as fun photo shoots, most recently I've had a family that this is a family of two adults three grandparents, two dogs, and two adult boys. So this family has brought me into their home, and everybody is having full energy, not knowing what to expect. And the mom orchestrated this whole thing. She just wanted it to be fun. We did some staged sets, but during the first stage, she had everybody stand in the front, and we had a 2-row portrait. And she had, and you're gonna laugh when I tell you this. She had bought a fart machine for the photo shoot. So when they all were okay, I took the first shot of the serious copy of the photo. She started in her pocket, started pushing the button, and then everybody is laughing. Everybody is looking and see who farted, who did it, and they all start laughing hysterically because I realized that she did that. And that's the kind of portrait they wanted. They wanted it to be real, emotional, very, very expressive. And so we went through different sets in our house. They shoot water guns at each other at the end. And you can see this 80-year-old grandma is shooting a water gun at the kids. Like they all had a worst, greatest time ever together as a fun experience. So
That's
it
great.
doesn't all have to be very stiff and very, very styled. It can be as fun as you want it to be.
Yeah. I bet the first part was the funniest because
Oh yeah.
of everybody going, uh,
Yeah. It was amazing.
that's great. So we've talked about a lot, but what have we not talked about that you'd like to share?
I think it's important to note that you, people sometimes wonder, well, no, I don't want to be photographed yet because of, like we've said at the beginning, having some hesitations as to why should you exist in photos. There are many reasons why you should, and there are many reasons why you should not wait. During COVID, we all felt the importance of losing a someone. We all have lost somebody or several somebodies that were close to us during COVID. If that has not reminded us all how short our life can be, even if we do the photo shoot tomorrow and it's not perfect, we can always do it again if you're still here. But what if you're not? What if, and this kind of brings me back to 2016 when my best friend died. She was 35 and she was the absolute sweetheart. She had so many plans. She wanted to be a PhD. She wanted to be a therapist. She wanted to do so many things. And she died when she even really started walking her path. And so that's why you see empty frames behind me in my background, because I want that to always be a reminder to myself and to others. Don't wait. You have the chance to do something that you really could change your family, change your business, that could really change your path, that could really impact you and take you to a place that you have not been, with yourself and with others. Take the plunge and do the photo shoot, and we can always do another one and another one and another one, but don't wait. And this is for everything. Don't wait to start that business. Don't wait to do something that you're passionate about. Don't let your fear stop you from living. And that's the point that I wanted to make with this, is don't wait to live.
Nice. Has someone, speaking of death, has someone asked you to photograph their deceased
I
loved
have
one?
had portraits, yes. Not like on in a like when they're in the casket. No, not like that. But I have had requests to create a painting of a photo of somebody that has passed. So I do
Okay.
get those requests every now and then, yes.
Yeah. And I remembered you saying that one. Um,
Mhm.
that would be pretty extreme. And plus, people rarely look like themselves when they're deceased anyway. So,
You wouldn't want to. You don't want to remember them in the
yeah.
casket. You want to remember them fully alive and fully embraced with the emotions. So I have had several people tell me that their family member has passed away after the photo shoot, and it could be months or years after. And that's usually the image that they come back to, being super thankful that we captured it when we did. So
Mhm.
it's something that I always remember. And when I can include your pet into the photo shoot, I had a client of mine recently. She wanted to come for a headshot branding photo shoot just for her business. And I know she had a dog that she absolutely loves, and I knew that her dog is not doing so well. And I forced her to bring that dog with her to the photo shoot. And we're both so thankful that she did, because now his health is declining even faster. And she will not have those images with him if we not done that. So it's really important to include your family, include those that you love, make sure that you tell them you love them, treasure those around you, treasure everything that you have, be in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'll just pop in an idea that a friend of mine said that they had done, and that was, as the siblings of one generation were aging, they actually did a video and just had a conversation and reminisced, and then uh, the people started dying off, and they really appreciate, or the kids really appreciated it. And they were at a family gathering this past Christmas, and kids, one of the grandchildren approached the generation above them. They had done the generation above, and she said, "It's time to do the next generation." Um,
Mhm.
so I thought that was really a great idea too.
Generational portraits are so fun if you can capture 2, 3, even 4 generations. I always love those portraits because those are the most treasured for all of those generations. So if there's a chance that you have your grandchildren and your parent, if there's all 4 generations living, let's do that. Like that, those are the most treasured. You're absolutely right.
So how can people get in touch with you if they're in the Tampa Bay area, or if they're coming down to Tampa Bay and want
Mhm.
to schedule a photo shoot? How can they best
Um,
contact you? Okay,
So you can find me at Allie Serrano Portraits. That's ALLIESERRANO.com. I'm under the same name at my Instagram, on my Facebook, on LinkedIn, my YouTube as well. And you can also text me at 813-501-7250. Um, and I also have a podcast that I'm starting, Love Yourself Podcast, where I'm developing the concept of having conversations with others that are on the same topic that we just discussed, of loving yourself more. So if there's ever an interest in jumping on that, being guest on my podcast, and this goes for you, Mark, as well, I would love to have you on mine. So that's something to look at as well.
great. All right. Okay. Allie, thanks so much for being on the podcast today, on the OutMarket.Pro podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate being here.
To learn more about Allie and her portraits, find her information down in the show notes below that she just gave verbally. If you'd like to learn more about OutMarket.Pro, you can also find more about us in the show notes. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. We do these on average, about every week. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the OutMarket.Pro podcast.